if you don't want to be treated different, then don't expect to be treated special. Hi, Sarah. So my name is Cynthia Hurla, and I'm a wife and a mom and married to Greg for almost 19 years. And we have one son, Jerome, and we're parishioners at St. John's. Um, I work at NavAir as far as my career goes. I work at NavAir. I've worked there my whole career since I graduated from college. I went through the ESDP program, which is the Engineering Science Development Program. And then I was an engineer for a while, working on a variety of different aircraft programs. Then I was a branch head in the thermal management area for about 10 years. But the last 10 or so years of my career has been as sort of like a chief of staff. And that's a position where it's a little bit technical, but not so much. It's mostly the business side of the department, things like IT and the recruitment and the hiring. And let's see what else goes on there. Some of let's see. The financial, right? So we handle the financial, just things like that, more like the business side of things. But I think one thing that's been interesting change, from going from engineering is this recruitment piece. So I've interviewed, and looked at resumes and interviewed a ton of people, ton of engineers, and so that's been pretty cool. So anyway, so that's me. I majored in mechanical engineering in college, and the reason why is kind of unclear to me. I think I can see the hand of God in my life the whole time. Just sort of as I look back, I when I did the placement, or I think it was like some sort of test that I took in high school. It indicated that I should be in some sort of field that is concrete, like accounting or engineering or something like that. Like I really placed very high on some sort of indicator that I should be in a more concrete career field, even though I didn't even really know what engineering was. But I was having this conversation with an adult, a friend of my parents, and he said to me, "You should be an architect." And I didn't know what an architect was either, but it sounded really cool. So I pursued that, but realized that it was probably beyond my ability, because architecture is very it's very competitive to get into the School of Architecture. It's a 5-year program, that sort of thing. So I, kind of got redirected to this mechanical engineering field, and that's what I graduated with, and it seemed to, be a pretty good fit. I think my favorite part is, and I know this sounds kind of corny, but I think it is the people. You just really get very close to the people that you work with. I'm a supervisor, and I not only have I always had really good supervisors and really encouraging, supportive supervisors and bosses, but I have really good people that work for me as well. People that I'm close to, people that work really hard. So I would say that's probably my favorite part. Yeah, the hardest part is problem solving. Um, you know, there's a lot of NavAir is a very big organization, and when things arrive at my desk per se, or up at the chief of staff office, it's usually because a problem needs to be solved. So in order to solve that problem, you have to understand the process, and all of the the players in the process, and that's pretty difficult because not a lot of things are documented. So I would say the hardest part um, is uh, figuring out the process and then solving problems. The most rewarding part of my job is definitely being able to apply my expertise to the problem and solve it, and to be able to contribute to solving that problem. The most challenging part has been that it's a very competitive career field and a very competitive major, and there's a lot of smart people, and I really feel like um, I always felt like I was one that was not the smartest in the room, but that was always very kind of uh, motivating. So I remember being, at the beginning of my career thinking to myself, I want to be smart just like that person. When they talk, they sound really smart and they have such expertise in landing gear or, whatever the area was. And I want to be like that. So the hardest part though was not being that yet and having to sort of wait and put my time in, and gain that proficiency at at whatever I was trying to learn. So I think that would be the most challenging part. I think there are two things that really help to be successful. The first would be perseverance, and the second would be humility. First, perseverance would be, that you just have to, even though, it's a very difficult field or you're in a very difficult situation, you're trying to solve a difficult problem, just persevering through it. That's one attribute, definitely. The other is humility. And I'm not saying that I have it perfectly, but it's interesting because the leadership of NavAir now is touting a book called Humility is the New Smart, and which is a virtue, right, in our Catholic faith. And I can definitely see how humility would benefit an organization, because what humility says is I don't know everything, and that says I need to learn, and I need to learn from each other. We need to ask each other questions. Not everybody is going to be right about everything. So I think humility also is a good way to interact with people. And when I see somebody who has that sort of that gift of interacting with people in a way that brings the results in group dynamics, it's usually humility um, that I can identify in that person. So that's a difficult thing to assess, because I think I've been blessed in a lot of ways that my career has been very family friendly. I was able to take like 5 months off from work, after I had Jerome, and all of my bosses were very encouraging about any time off that I needed or anything like that. So it really, if you're going to be working outside the home, it was definitely a very blessed place, and supportive place to work. So, it was also like when I was there, I was able to be there and not, not too distracted by things. And then when I'm at home, I'm not distracted by work. So it really didn't negatively impact family life. I think that there could probably be some positives, some good, really good friendships that Greg and I have developed through our work that has enhanced our, our family life. And yeah, so I think it's difficult to say if it's impacted my family life for the good or for the bad, but I would say that that NavAir is a good place to work and it's very family friendly. Yes, my career has definitely impacted my faith life, mainly because I could see how the Lord led me to it, only, of course, by looking in hindsight, but how he led me to it. I can also see where the Lord has solved problems within, my job, namely, like if there's um, a problem with another person and I can not really see my way through it on my own, so if I bring the Lord into it, he just kind of clears the way and makes everything better. If there's a problem that I'm trying to solve that's not a person problem, but a problem, I can see him, I can pray, and I can see him just bringing clarity to the situation, of course, because he knows everything. There's nothing that we're trying to solve that he doesn't already know. So yeah, I can definitely see the Lord had my faith affected my career affected my faith in that way. I can also see very clearly that if I don't have a prayer, my prayer life, like first thing in the morning, that it'll impact my day. And the Lord uses various things to remind me of that. So don't forget to pray, So, yeah. I do have tips and advice that I give to many people that I mentor, but especially young women when I mentor them, and especially if they're in the engineering field. And it's not a very probably common piece of advice, but the advice is that if you don't want to be treated different, then don't expect to be treated special. And what I mean by that is that I've never considered myself to be a female engineer. I've always considered myself just to be an engineer. And so I've never wanted to be treated special, in that way, like, oh, okay, now I need all these special things done for me just because I'm a female. I would rather just be, considered on the same playing field as all the other thousands of engineers. But once are, so there's going to be this feeling that you're being treated differently because you are female. And I have been treated differently, but in a good way, I would say. I think I probably, like, for example, um, especially when I was a new engineer and I would meet possibly like, somebody important like the admiral or something like that. Well, they would remember me probably because I was, different. And so that was a blessing. Like that was good. But it also was important to remember that if I did something that was, negative or something like that, that I was also going to be remembered for that. So it kind of made you stand out a little bit. But it wasn't in a bad way. I was always treated very well. Um, and it was just important to me to be treated or to just be considered as an engineer, not necessarily a female engineer.